Okay, sir, we were able to connect to the live stream again.
Okay. I apologize, Chief. You can continue, sir.
Where did I leave off at? Sorry.
Basically, you were wrapping up and finishing off with the work that Chief Esparza and everybody were doing with the COVID vaccine.
Right. So, like I said, we can have some sort of pre-registration event at the town, and then we can go ahead and also identify those individuals that actually need the vaccines. One of the key things is the people need it and want it, because I know we've been running into issues that even on personal side that some people are like, well, I don't want the vaccine. So if they register for it, I mean, they have to want the vaccine. And I think that's one of the key things that Chief Esparza was expressing to me, that they've gone out to individuals' homes that sign up for it. When they get there, they well, maybe I don't want it after. So like he says, we have to get those vaccines in people's arms. So if we can identify those people, maybe do something having to do like what we did with the CARES Act funding, where we had people sign up and then we can identify them accordingly.
Well, Chief, when do they plan on putting this all together? Do they have a start date for starting to immunize and starting to put this whole thing together for the town?
I know Chief Esparza has already received an allocation of vaccines and they started to get a trial run. But to answer your question, Chief, can you answer that question?
The answer is it's going to be very vague. Today we received an allocation, and the health department targeted a community. I'm trying to get. I'm not saying no to any allocations, even if you all don't fund this. I'm going to come to your community, and right now, as they give them to me, we are waiting for our own personal allocations. Like I said, today they called me and they told me we have X amount of vaccinations for this community, and the more I say yes, the more I'm seeing that they're giving me. So I could possibly maybe be in Anthony in the West El Paso sometime in the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks, depending if how this. I've got another one this Friday, and it'll most likely be on a Friday. But right now, everybody's kind of going on a case by case basis, and by Friday, I should know if they can provide me with more vaccinations.
Are you targeting the elderly and people that are over 50, or just the elderly over 65?
No, everybody over 50, 65. In some cases, like I said, it got to the point where we're giving it to everyone and everyone, because a smaller communities, sometimes it's not worth to go there, and that's what the health department is teaching us, to go there with 100 vaccines and not even 50 people sign up to go get them because they want them. So your community is a little bit more than that, and we were trying to maximize that. But what we need to understand is this is going to be months in the works, because if I get 200 and I come to Anthony with 200 and we don't get the participation, then later on they're going to want them and we're going to have to come back. So this is a long-term effort. Now the contract that I did send over to you all, I think we were shooting till September, which is the end of this fiscal year. From what I'm hearing, you all are running out of the CARES funding. We did receive notification from the county of all the funding that you all were receiving, and of course, we're not asking for any much more. But in the contract, it is stipulated if you choose to end the contract, you may do so at any time.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from council members? If there's no questions or further discussion, do I have a motion on the table?
Motion to approve.
Second it.
I have a motion made by Councilman Chavez, seconded by Councilman Alfaro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion to pass the interlocal cooperation agreement for direct expense funding by municipalities within El Paso County Emergency Service. No, let me see. Yep. For COVID-19 vaccination, passes 4-0. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chief. Thank you,
Thank
Chief
you,
Esparza.
Councilor Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
right, moving on to item 4, discussion, consideration, and action on updating the Anthony, Texas Police Department policies 714 vehicle operation and 614 use of force, presented by Chief Enriquez.
So I sent out to you all the policy revisions. So as you can see, they were pretty lengthy in nature. The use of force policy was about, I think, about a good 12 pages or so. The use of force policy needs to be updated because, of course, we need to include the de-escalation portion of it. And of course, the de-escalation basically means taking action or continually verbalizing or non-verbalizing during a potential force encounter. We have to make sure that we have that on file or have that in policy so we can be in compliance with the Department of Justice, with the new Policing Act, etc. In it, of course, we've already had it in the old policy, but redirection, we just changed the name of non-deadly force to less lethal force. Basically meaning when we use control tactics, we use chemical agents, we use electronic control devices, which are tasers, impact weapons, which are batons. And then, of course, the authorized use of lethal force and when we can use them, when we cannot use it, when deadly force is authorized, and when we resort to deadly force. And of course, one of the things that draw up to my attention were the drying of the firearms. As you recall, maybe 3 years ago, locally with the city of El Paso, there was an individual where he was dealing with some juveniles. He drew out his firearm. The city and the police department got a lot of pushback from it because the officer drew out his weapon. So I think that's very important for us to have it so the officers are aware of when they can draw out the weapon and when they cannot. So it's specific there. And of course, it goes on to what are authorized discharges and when we do call out a shooting review team. So there's some reasons we don't call out a shooting review team. One of the reasons we don't is when we're at the firing range or when we're justified and authorized to use lethal force against a dying animal or an animal that is actively attacking a person in its defense of that person. And we have supervisor authorization. So then it goes on to identify what officer-involved shootings are, and then what's the process for officer-involved shootings, what are our steps when it comes down to them. That's one of the things we did not have in our policy, and we did not have the fact that we would not use that we would put the officer in administrative leave and who would be responsible and put him in administrative leave, our training qualifications, and tactics and weapons during emergencies. So, like I said, it's pretty lengthy. I hope you had the time to review that one. So again, it was a necessary change that we needed to do for the use of force. Any questions on the use of force policy? If there isn't any questions, the next policy was the 7.14, the vehicle operation policy. A lot of this policy was already in effect. The only thing that we did have to change is we had to change the more of the approach that we had to these policies. And one of the things that I did add on to this policy is that the policy shall not be construed or created to imply any contractual obligations by the town or the police department. Also, it states that the Anthony Police Department believes, and the town believes, that the assigning vehicles to individual officers will increase the life of the vehicles while reducing maintenance costs and providing exceptional accountability for upkeep, appearance, and maintenance of said vehicles. So like I said, a lot of it had to do with the changes that we had to do because we were seeing that by officers not taking accountability and responsibility and having it as a pool vehicle, it was just deteriorating the life out of them. And we saw that more so because during this auction that we had, the vehicles that we auctioned off, the Crown Vics that we auctioned off, they were beat to the ground. And there was one unit in particular, there was a 900 unit, which was a 2009 unit that had been out of service for a while, that was only assigned to one officer. And actually that vehicle sold at auction for $1,500 and had, I believe, 70,000 miles. And that was one officer, and it was almost brand new. And that was a pretty good vehicle. But again, we had already a large fleet. We couldn't have that fleet. Mayor brought it up to my attention. We needed to reduce it because of our insurance costs, et cetera. there was no point in us having just too many vehicles there. So again, I saw the need that if we do keep them to one officer, they take care of them better. They have the maintenance portion of it. And like I had mentioned to you all, and if you guys had a chance to review the policy, I mean, this is something that is very common nowadays with a lot of law enforcement agencies within El Paso County, even in Doña Ana County, and basically all over the state. This policy is modeled after many policies within the state of Texas, to include Austin PD and other jurisdictions with other agencies within our jurisdiction, and like I said, within the state of Texas. Any questions?
Any questions from any council members? I had an opportunity to talk with Chief about this, and I mean, I think it's a good idea. Let's see how it goes. He did include some verbiage in the policy that if at any time, you know, we were seeing misuse, abuse, or, you know, that the program was not being utilized well, that we can, you know, pretty much administratively take it away as we see fit. But I'm open to moving forward with giving this the vehicles to be taken home a chance, and I think it'd be a good morale booster as well, and establish some accountability on the officers as well, and maintaining and taking care of their vehicles.
I think you're right, Ben. I think I thought they had already been taking them home for the reason that, you know, if they get called an emergency and they have to call somebody else in, well, they already have the vehicles. They're not going to be coming to the yard, to the station, and picking up a vehicle and then taking off. They go straight to the incident that they were called to. I thought we had already had this in place, didn't we, Chief? Or did they call it off?
No, we only had it for the PIP, for the police interceptor program, and then of course the supervisors have to take them. Now everything is written in black and white.
Okay. Well, I think it's a smart move to do. I mean, I think we need to move forward with this.
Yeah, I agree. I move to approve.
All right, I have a motion made by Councilman Alfaro, seconded by Ms. Councilwoman Soledad Flores, to update the Anthony, Texas Police Department policies 17.4 vehicle operation and 6.14 use of force. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, may I ask Chief a question really quick on it before we move on?
Yes, Henry.
Chief, on I don't know if this was a typo, but on page 2, where you have the definitions, one of them is on the definitions on page 2 for the policy for the take-home units.
Okay. Okay.
I just had a quick question. Were you on subparagraph E, where you define assigned vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Then you indicate a marked or unmarked police vehicle assigned to one employee who does not meet all of the eligibility requirements outlined in this policy. Did you mean who does meet, or is that correct where it says who does not meet?
Who does not meet, because in the bottom that they have to have already not been on probation. I mean, have already passed FTO and not be on any type of disciplinary action. So is that right, or then change that?
Okay. Well, I'm just curious because I thought they would have to meet the eligibility requirements, but here you're saying that for those that do not meet the eligibility requirements. So I haven't gone through the other part that you mentioned again, but I mean, I'll take your word for it. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if that was
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, thank you, Henry.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief. And everybody, moving on to item 7, departmental reports, streets. Mr. Jaquez, anything that you'd like to add, sir?
No, sir, just on the streets. Everything looks okay.
I did see you guys patched up that big pothole over there by the Loves. We appreciate that. Everything else, I don't have anything else to update. Nothing new with TxDOT. They did install, Chief, if you did see the speed little signs by the maintenance yard, and also the other one near the Dollar General up there on Donovan. How do you think you guys, have you ever had have you had an opportunity yet to look at any of the data that we're capturing?
Chief,
No, not yet. It really started coming in.
Okay,
Chief,
sounds
I'm sorry.
good.
Do you think who needs to adjust it? Because it's every time we go through there, it has a. For instance, I come down through and I come down speed limit, but it says I'm going 55. The speed is off.
I noticed
on
that.
the new
I
one?
noticed that yesterday too. It said I was going 40 something. I was going 30.
Yeah.
I'll see if there's a calibration button in the software. Maybe it needs to be updated because they've been sitting in a warehouse for about a year or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. That's it for me on that. Parks and Rec, Everett.
On the park, we're still working on the irrigation because we lost water for it. We're working on irrigation. Also, we're working with the high school as well. We're fixing up the baseball field. We're putting up a new screen, and we put also some new dirt, some more crusher front on the field. So it's looking really good.
Thank you, Everett.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add for police and fire?
So we held the auction on the 6th of March. So the auction brought in approximately 44,145. Out of that money, we were in a deficit of 27,242. The reason we were in a deficit is because the outstanding storage fees were 71,437. So what that means is basically if we would have released all the vehicles, that's how much we would have had. But of course, just number wise, that's what we had to balance it out with. But the auction did bring in about 44,145. 4,400 goes to the auctioneer. 575 stays in a 90-day escrow account. So with that, we're purchasing some other equipment that the PD needs, and it's not going to take away from general fund. It's actually going to allow us to be able to save some of that funds on general fund for something else or reallocate it wherever the city see fits. But that's what we did on the auction block, and we had approximately 36 vehicles and 2 miscellaneous pallets. So we had a good turnout. It's been a higher turnout every year. I know we get a lot of negative feedback from people in social media or what have you, but I mean, whatever the case is, we know we're doing things the right way. We're auctioning off the vehicles the way they're supposed to be, and we're staying in compliance within the law, and we're doing good.
No, that is good, Chief, because you know what? I actually get more comments from people asking about when the next police auction is going to be versus the people complaining about, the impound and everything to begin with. So good job to you guys, and we're glad that the PD is bringing in some revenue from that because it's definitely needed. And anywhere an opportunity that we can to look at save off the main budget, I mean, it's always a blessing. So, that gives us opportunity for, more street stuff, more capital improvement work, things of that nature. So thank you, Chief, for all the hard work.
Ben, I have a question for Chief.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Sean. I just wanted to comment, Chief, I think we need a bigger yard.
Right.
We did make it bigger, right, Chief?
Yeah, we did. We made it.
No, it needs to be bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
No.
Yes, sir, Sean.
Okay.
Sean.
Well, where the old Chrome shop was, they've been cleaning that up, but they put up a lot of no parking signs. And that was one of the main areas for the 4-wheelers and the dirt bikes and everything else. So I've noticed in the last 2 weeks, a lot more people parking at the dead end of Mountain Pass and parking all over that area and using that. I don't know if that's something that we want to consider putting no parking and no signs there as well, or because it's kind of becoming. I mean, it used to be the dumping site, but now it's like the loading and unloading of all the four-wheeler sites. So.
Yes, sir. I can definitely I can schedule something with Ever sometime this week. I know they're busy doing cutoffs and we have the distribution coming up, and I can sit down with Ever, see if we can order some signs. And then we can have these guys start going up there and start enforcing that area on the no parking. And then if they're becoming a nuisance with the quads and whatever, then we can also address that with the city ordinance as well.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I didn't know if you had any pushback or anything, but a lot of signs went up in the last 2 weeks, no parking, after they cleared it all, and people used to park behind the dunes. You couldn't see them as much, but since they flattened it, you can see them. So now they just kind of moved down to the end of the street.
Right, and the good thing is that we're able to keep an eye on them also through the dome camera we have set up for over there. So we can also do that. We're trying to integrate that into dispatch. That way, during the daytime when dispatch is there, they can keep an eye on that and they can immediately dispatch the units out there. So we're trying to get more eyes without putting more boots on the ground and trying to save money as well. But yeah, I'll definitely get with Ever as far as the signs goes, and then I'll get with my supervisors so they can start telling their guys to get out there.
Thanks.
No problem.
All right, moving on to water and sewer, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, on the water and sewer, sir, it's been a busy week. All those main breaks that we had, the one, especially the one in Celeste and the one by the yard. We're able to get it last week, the one in Celeste, to able to isolate the water, sir. We finally put a new valve on it. And we service those 2 houses up on Celeste. And also we got the rental, the Skyjack. So we're able to fix our main break that was supplying water to the police substation, our maintenance yard, as well as the parks. So we got that one fixed as well, sir. And also we're doing water turnoffs, and it's becoming pretty good. We had a great turnout from people. So we didn't have a large number on them, but we're on it. Okay, we still have some people still being turned off.
All right, sounds good, Ever. Moving on to courts, Ms. Castillo.
Yes, sir. The courts that are scheduled for March are going to be March the 24th at 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And they have already released the dates for April, which is April the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th, sir. That's all we have for the court dates.
And then one of the things that I was having a discussion that you might want to talk to the girls about. El Paso is already resuming with in-session courts. Am I correct, Chief?
Yes, sir. I heard that they're already starting with back in sessions.
So that's going to be something that, you need to coordinate and get with the girls with. If the city of El Paso is already moving forward with getting that going, we need to also get that going as well for in-person court sessions and stuff as well.
Perfect, sir.
All righty, moving on to finance. At this moment in time, nothing to report. And under administration, Chief covered the COVID vaccines. We're getting everything looking at our budget. We have been in talks with, the engineers and everybody with moving forward with the project from 6th Street all the way to Magdalena, and when they're going to have to go out for bid. So they're just finalizing some of the stuff that we did and signed off for this previous project. But other than that, I personally think, things are moving forward and going good here in the town. We just got to make sure that, we stay on top of our budget, overall expenses, and make sure we continue, with capital improvement projects and updating policies, protocols, and procedures as we see necessary and fit for the overall, prosperity of the town of Anthony. And as you guys know, and like we said, Paxton's land got bought up, so there's some things that we'll be having a meeting with you guys soon about. We are looking at working at that Chapter 380 agreement, and we are in close discussions with that developer in regarding, the potential for the new development taking place here in town. But other than that, that is all I have at the moment. Anything else? Floor is open for administration.
Yeah, Ben. So two things. One, going off what you just said, that's why it was so important that, what was it, 4 to 5 years ago, we did a lot of that zoning and planning for that land, so that now, they can't just, do whatever they want with it. And second, you mentioned the courts are starting back up. So what about town meetings? Have those started back up as in person as well?
That one I'm not too close because I still keep getting the emails for the team meetings. But I think, personally here for the town of Anthony, with it being such a small, council room, we may look at considering, getting back to our in-person meetings. But, we still got to keep in mind that we got to maintain some certain social distancing protocols. So that's something that, I'll talk to Norma and Chief about coming up this week and see, feasibility, if that's something that we'll be able to manage and handle and move forward on from here. And if so, I'm up for it. So I'll keep you guys posted and we'll see how it goes from there.
Mayor, can I address a couple of those points that Councilor Weeks brought up?
Yes, sir.
One, going back to the issue on the courts, Mayor, just keep in mind that there's a Texas Supreme Court order that was issued, the most recent one, that still requires the courts to make sure that, they can go back to in-person hearings, but they still have to maintain the social distancing, the 6 feet apart, wearing masks, et cetera. All that's part of the Texas Supreme Court order. Obviously, we are limited with space at town hall, so it may make it very difficult to accomplish that task. The Texas Supreme Court order does also say that they strongly encourage the hearings to be held virtually, telephonic or visual or video appearance. They're still encouraging that, but just wanted to bring that up to you that there may be some limitations on in-person hearings. Now, on the other issue that Councilor Weeks brought up, as far as what I've seen is that the governor has still extended the Open Meetings Act portions of his order where you can continue doing these meetings virtually. So there still isn't, as far as the last time I checked, there's still, that part of the order hasn't been changed to require going back to in-person meetings. So, and again, if you do in fact go back to in-person meetings, then we face the same dilemma as we do with the courts, where that you brought up, Mayor, that you'll still have to make sure that the social distancing guidelines are followed. So I just wanted to bring those 2 points up.
And Ben, maybe we could also still wear pajama pants when we do in person, because it's comfy.
Right.
I like that, Sean.
All right. Other than that, the next regular council meeting is scheduled at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, April 12th, 2021. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Do I have a second? Seconded by, motion made by Councilman Chavez, seconded by Ms. Soledad Flores. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:29. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.